I am livid with the liars and the thieves in my industry that take vulnerable people and say, "Here, give me your money. I'm going to sell you a quick fix." Fine, but now you know better. You should do better.
Hello, my fellow humans, and welcome to the Multiverse Technology Podcast. Today's guest is Fitz Koehler, America's high energy race announcer, fitness expert, best-selling author of You Supercharge, and known for bringing joy to marathon start lines and inspiring resilience in runners everywhere. Welcome to the show, Fitz. It's good to have you today.
Thanks for having me, Justin, and hello, everybody.
Tell us a little bit, the audience, about your journey a little bit. Tell a little bit what you went through to get to where you are now and then writing your book.
Yeah, this is book number 5, You
Woo!
Supercharge, the exact formula for fitness, weight loss, and longevity. And I'm a fitness expert. I've been teaching fitness since I turned 14. I went on to get a master's degree in exercise and sports sciences. I've spoken and taught fitness on television, radio, podcasts, through magazines, and in live presentations all around the world. I think I've in person taught in about 17 countries so far. And I love helping people live longer. I love helping the concept of fitness become understandable, attainable, and fun. And I love breaking through the barriers where people believe in gimmicks and diets and all the garbage that holds them back. I love helping people get to their point B with fitness, right? Lose tens of, dozens of pounds or hundreds of pounds and, change their life. That's what I love to do.
I love that. I know fitness is a huge thing right now. It's a huge industry. There are a lot of misconceptions, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully fitness has been and always will be a huge industry, but sadly, the financial part of it is dominated by liars and thieves and vultures and snake oil salesmen and people that will lie to you just to take your dollar versus, honest experts like me actually giving out, scientific truth about eating more healthy foods, less bad foods, managing your caloric intake and exercising. So yeah, there's a lot of money being exchanged with very bad people. And it's heartbreaking because really, if someone's going to spend money on becoming more fit, you shouldn't be taking advantage of that, right?
I feel that so hard. I was a victim of that for a while throughout my journey and understanding what fitness means to me. Because I know it's different to everyone. Everyone's bodies are different. And it's
Right,
not a one
right.
size fits all. A lot of those programs and things they have, like, oh yeah, I think this will work for me. I can do this. But it's not like it seems like it's not a good long term plan.
That's exactly right. So diets in their nature are short-term measures that lead to short-term results. So whether you're doing keto or Atkins or intermittent fasting or grapefruit diet, I mean, there's all sorts of garbage diets. Anything with the word diet at the end is basically garbage. People can only do them for a short amount of time because they require so much restriction and suffering. And so you may do keto for a few weeks and lose some weight, and that's exciting. But all of a sudden, you start becoming miserable because you're doing keto and your body starts revolting and you end up with things called, I don't know, keto crotch and keto breath. And you realize, well, this sucks. I don't want to be like this. And then instead of going to do something healthy, you go back to your old crappy habits who landed you in an overweight position to begin with. And then you become worse than you were before you tried the diet. So diets are a no-go, period, end of story. Instead, I like to teach people how to eat the right amount of the right food for the size they want to be, break it down, make it simple, stupid. And all of a sudden they go, oh my God, it can't be that easy. And it is. It's that simple.
I know they do oversell us on so many different things, and it does
Quick
get
fixes.
complicated. Yeah. And
Quick
I've spent
fixes.
thousands of dollars on plans to like get bulk
Yikes.
up, to eat right. And all this
Right.
stuff made me feel like crap. I didn't feel like me. And I still started realizing that there's kind of a psychology to this as well, not just the food for myself.
Right. Yeah. And I think when people stop looking for the quick fix and they say, okay, I'm willing, I concede, I'm willing to change my behavior. So, you said you spent thousands of dollars on scams. My new book is 25 to 35 bucks, depending on what you buy. And then I teach you how to become 1% better every day. There is no physical way for you to go from where you are to 40 pounds less and in the best shape of your life tomorrow or next week or next month. But if you do the things I tell you to do each day in moderation, eventually you look in the mirror and you say, hot damn, I'm in pretty good shape right now. So also, you can't learn a language overnight either. If somebody says you're going to learn how to speak Portuguese by tomorrow, some red flags should go off. You can learn some Portuguese by tomorrow, But in order to become fluent, it's going to take months or a year or so. And so that's how fitness works. It's just consistency, discipline,
I love that.
moderation.
That's why I learned that changing their habits upon being consistent with them over time.
Yeah.
Learning to
Yeah.
listen to my body, really feel it. What am I feeling when I'm putting this food in my body? How do I feel afterwards? And it was
Yeah.
like so less stressful, but they don't tell me that. Spend 12 grand on this 6-week program and you'll feel
Oh,
like the
yeah.
shape of your life. I'm like, what do you mean? I don't feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything that's extreme is wrong. It's just wrong. It's wrong. Yeah. It
And there's
shouldn't,
so many of
shouldn't
those,
be.
especially for like men and women nowadays. They're just trying to appeal to that part of the mind. There's just a quick fix, like you said. I'd
Hmm.
love to know, what are some of the things that you go through in your book that you kind of walk people through to really help them change their mindset around diet and fitness?
Yeah. So first of all, we banish the word diet. The only time I use that word diet is when I'm mocking them. So we don't have a healthy diet. Diets are garbage. We want healthy eating plans, right? We want to eat wisely. And so I recommend the exact formula for weight loss. So I teach people how to eat the right amount of the right food for the size you want to be. The size I want to be is probably very different than what you want to be, which is probably very different than what half of your listeners want to be. So, if somebody tells you 1,200 calories a day, that's stupid unless you want to be 120 pounds. Someone tells you to eat 2,000 calories a day, super dumb unless you want to weigh 2,000. I'm sorry, 2,000 calories a day, dumb unless you want to be 200 pounds. So, what I tell people is that on average, humans burn about 10 calories per pound of body weight per day. So, let's say that again. You are burning 10 ca- calories per every pound of body weight per day. So if you weigh 200 pounds, we know you're burning approximately 2,000 calories. If you would like to stay 200 pounds, you continue consuming 2,000 calories and you'll stay there. You're feeding the beast. You burn a certain amount, you put it back in, you don't change weight. If you are 200 pounds and gaining, we know you are consuming more than 2,000 calories per day. If you would like to weigh less, what I recommend is choosing specifically what you would like to weigh. So let's say you want to weigh 150 pounds. Easy. You put a zero on the end of that number. It's 150 times 10. And now you're at 1,500 calories per day. If you only eat the amount of calories that would sustain a 150-pound person, eventually your body will shrink down to that size. So it's the caloric budget. And people say, I don't like counting calories. Oh, cry me a river, right? Would you rather be
I was
overweight
like
and
that at
diabetic?
first too. I feel
Yeah,
that.
and get a grip, whatever. Would you rather have knee pain and this muffin top or whatever's going on, right? So I think counting calories is far superior to living with excess weight. So we start there, but I didn't tell you that you couldn't have fruit or meat or white products. I said have this caloric budget. Now, ideally you will consume 80 to 90% of those calories in a healthy way. You will choose whole grains and fruits and veggies and unprocessed natural grown fruit or food. But can you have a beer? Sure. Can you have a cookie? Sure. If someone is told you can't have any sugar or you can't have any potatoes or any pizza, instantly all they want is the sugar or potatoes or pizza, right?
Mhm.
So let's be realistic about it. So there's the exact formula. And then the other most important thing. So, with nutrition, you can get to any weight you want just by your consumption habits. You can lose weight, you can gain weight based on what you put in your mouth. However, you can't be fit without exercise. And in order to be truly fit, you need to be proficient in the four pillars of fitness, which are strength, cardio, flexibility, and balance. And so there's a huge focus that in the book. And in fact, they just came in today. So I'm going to show for the first time ever, this is my
Girl.
book. You
Yeah.
Supercharged. For everyone who's looking, I'm super pumped about it. But in the middle of the book, there's a massive chapter called Everything Exercise, where I show you how to exercise, how to exercise each body part. So this page is on hip flexors, and that one's, let's see, this is for your back, right? So here's a bunch of exercises using gravity, bands, and weights. And then we get into how to exercise in a chair, right? Maybe you're just not at your best. You can't get out of your chair. Well, you can still get exercise. And then we go to strength and strengthening in bed, and then stretches in the shower, and then how to do
There's no
balance training.
excuse.
So,
Oh my goodness.
well, that's it. And there's actually a whole chapter called Why Your Excuses Are Lame. And so, right, it's all of the things. And if people have questions on when I should exercise, how often, how hard, how much, it's all in there. This book is all encompassing.
I love that. That's for men and women. Doesn't matter?
Yeah, yeah. In fact, I have chapters dedicated to each gender. So there's full throttle femininity, where we talk about all the ways women are unique, and menopause and pregnancy and periods and all the way being a woman affects your fitness. And then there's a whole chapter dedicated to men. It's called man mode. We talk about your hormones and your strength. And then, you know, man stuff, your sexual prowess, and if you would like to have the most powerful pecker on the planet, man mode, that chapter is for you.
Nice. And
Mhm.
really, it definitely takes the legwork out of everything. Like for me, like, some of the programs I've been to, but then again, they have me gaining weight and then losing weight to get certain
Right.
places because
Yeah.
I want to bulk up, but then I want to get bigger, smaller. But at the same time, I've noticed that like I eat 2,000 calories a day, but I burn about 3,500. We did some
Okay.
math to that. So I weigh
Yeah.
190. I'm eating 2,000, but I'm losing weight. But this
Are
wasn't
you
the case
trying to lose
before.
weight?
I'm trying to, yeah. So I can, but I've been doing this with somebody. It just, he was like, this doesn't make any sense. The math's not mathing. And I was like, hmm. But although I'm very active, I'm like an athlete constantly. I'm not just going to the gym or just doing yoga. I'm burning so much. I don't think I'm like the
Yeah.
normal average person.
Yeah. And are you seeing results?
I am finally.
Good.
After me,
Good.
like I said earlier, trying to pay attention to my own food, just look and see how it makes me feel. Because all the
Well, you
anxiety
would
from all the people I talk to is crazy in my head.
imagine this. I mean, we love our vehicles. We spend a lot of money on our cars. What if you threw ketchup in your gas tank? You're like, we're not going to do ketchup today, or we're not going to do gas. We're going to put ketchup in there. That would kill your engine, right? It would be bad for your car. But here we are putting things that are bad for us in our body all the time. And fortunately, our bodies are somewhat forgiving, as long as
Your
the
temple.
majority of our input or our intake is nutritious and quality, then we can have some of the not so good stuff without paying a horrendous price. But eventually, if we don't have more good than bad, we will pay a horrendous price.
I love how you made that analogy. That's so true. Let me ask you this. Would that be because of the food industry or maybe from our choices we're making or how things are being marketed to us? Why would that be, do you think, we to choose these foods over the other ones?
Well, America's a great example of supply and demand. They're making what we are demanding, right? So if you say no thanks to all the fried chips, if Americans or wherever we are, if we stop buying the fried processed foods, they'll stop making them. Those companies will go out of business, or they will choose to invest in making healthier products. So, every time each one of us goes to the grocery store, we have options. Right? We could buy the really bad stuff, the high sugar, the high fat, the highly processed foods, or we could shop in the produce section. We can go to the frozen fruit and produce section. We can buy frozen fruit and vegetables in cans, which for the most part are just fine too, as long as they're not saturated in sugar or oils, right? So we have choices. I find it very hard to point my finger and blame an industry when it's our responsibility to either give them or not give them money. It's free will, and fine, put them out of business. You want to put these companies making bad food out of business, stop buying their products.
I feel like a lot of people don't understand what actually having a choice and making a choice means. It's almost like they give up their power somehow, but realize
Well,
that
here's
everything
the
you do is a choice.
That's right. And here's the thing. And some of your listeners may say, "Screw you, Fitz Koehler. I don't." That hurt my feelings that you said that. And
Oh,
know that throughout my book, I'm not pulling punches. I'm telling you the truth.
yeah.
If you're buying these foods, you're free will. That's on you. It's not PepsiCo's fault that you're eating garbage. You just show up and you have low standards right now. Now, I'm going to tell you that those low standards are not overcomable. You can change. I used to be 40 something pounds overweight. I used to eat all sorts of fried foods and drink regular sodas and all that stuff. And then eventually I started evolving and learning. And when you know better, you do better. And so, again, I am livid with the liars and the thieves in my industry that take vulnerable people and say, "Here, give me your money. I'm going to sell you a quick fix." Fine, but now you know better. You should do better. And so don't show up at a grocery store or a restaurant acting like you have no choices. You do have choices, and you can eat wisely. You can eat healthy food on a budget for sure. I mean, a bag of Doritos costs $6. A whole thing of bananas cost like $3. So we have choices. You just have to have high standards and make those choices.
I feel like that bag of chips costs more than $6 in the long run, you know? Way more.
Yeah. 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 It's just, people see what they want to. And eventually, when their health becomes a real priority and they really want to be an ideal weight or they really want that back
Might
pain
be
to go
chilling.
away or they want the energy, then they start saying, okay, let me investigate. How do I get healthy food on a budget? And then they find it because it's there.
I love that because that's exactly what I started doing. Started investigating foods, reading labels, figuring out that there's 7,000 ingredients in this one thing. I don't think this is healthy for me. Wait a second.
Yeah, yeah. Kudos to you for taking the time. And again, it's the evolution process. Certain people aren't doing it until they need to, and then they start reading labels and they go, "Oh, now I get it." Right? So hopefully your listeners start prioritizing that stuff sooner than later.
That's what we're trying to help them with. I know for myself, I realized that all the brain fog I had, all the back issues from dehydration and the caffeine, all of it was because of things I thought I was eating to be kind of healthy, but I wasn't feeling good. I wasn't showing up right for myself, for my family, or my business. It was just really bad. We try and teach people on here that fitness and eating right is part of being a great leader. It's part of being a great man or woman for your family. This is part of that.
100%. And that's really where I focus on in the book is, okay, if you focus on your health, it will have trickle down effects, right? If you
Yeah.
become fitter, you have more energy, which means you show up at work more prepared to kill it, to sell the items, to create the products, to manage with gusto. If you get a quality night's sleep, you are so much more likely to be creative and to be kind, right? Sleepy people are irritable, they are rude, they are impatient. Could being less irritable and more patient work well at the office? Could it work well at your home with your children, with your spouse? Absolutely. Could you meet a match? Could you meet the love of your life because you are physically and mentally at your best? Absolutely. And so, no, the opposite is true. If you're not taking care of yourself and you're overweight, out of shape, not sleeping, it's ruining your chances of making money, reaching higher goals with your corporation, of meeting the love of your life, of making friends. All of the efforts you make pay off well or they don't. And so, yeah, if you take your profession seriously and you're not having success, perhaps you need to look inward and say, okay, what am I doing wrong? How am I not the best version of myself? And how do I make those changes? That's a huge focus of this.
Hey, my fellow humans, sorry to interrupt your video, but if you're looking for more ways to protect and empower your healthcare practice, we would love to help. At ITCMD, our mission is to simplify IT, boost security, and support your compliance journey with a human touch so you can focus on caring for your patients. Want to see how easy IT and cybersecurity can be? Schedule a free consult or check out our resources at iteecmd.net. Let's build a safer, stronger future together. Okay, bye.
Book.
I love that because I know the industry I'm in, I see it a lot, unfortunately. Guys walking around not taking care of themselves, dragging through the office, and they're just wondering why things aren't working very well. Why aren't they getting that win? And it's just like one of those things where I try and help people understand there's a difference between longevity and vitality. You can live a long life, but you're going to be hooked up to a bunch of machines for what, 20 years? On the
Yep.
fucking bed being like, "Oh, I wish I did better," when you could have
Yeah.
done better, but you made that choice.
Yeah, yeah. So it's so funny. That's the subtitle of You Supercharged is the exact formula for fitness, weight loss, and longevity. And yeah, it's great to get old, maybe, but if you're stuck in bed and you can't even grocery shop for yourself, or you can't walk around your house, or you can't go have any fun, what's the freaking point? Right. And so the things you do today, the efforts you make in fitness today will make tomorrow better. They will pay off in the future. It's so interesting how averse so many people are to strength training. Cardio, cardio, cardio. I want to lose weight. No, the secret to weight
Eh,
loss is what you put in your mouth or don't. Cardio can help, but the real fountain of youth is strength training.
yeah.
Folks, it doesn't mean you have to be a bodybuilder. It doesn't mean you have to be jacked and do all the things. It just means you have to consistently challenge your body and resistance. That's your ability to lift, push, pull, and press against resistance. And if you do that, it will impact your bone density. And yes, man, I'm talking to you, but women, OMG, strength training will keep you from turning fragile. I mean, my mother right now is like broken glass. She trips, she breaks, she's broken so many bones. And I think we have all loved and lost a favorite senior citizen who has done something as simple as trip over, a rug in the living room, and then they broke their hip, and 3 days later, they're dead. I mean, dead, dead, and so longevity, let's get there, and let's get
Pick it
there in
up.
a great way. Let's be strong.
Hell yeah. I love how you brought up the elderly part because I tell people a lot. Just because you've seen your grandma and your mom do these habits and things, and that's all you've seen, that's all you know, does not mean that has to be you. There is another way, but you have to stand the fuck up, take that power back and control, help yourself, and be able to help them too. Maybe they don't, but you can.
You know what, Justin? I love you. I feel like you wrote this book because I talk
I've been on
about
this journey.
it's it's the culture. People say, "Well, I'm overweight because my family's overweight." No, you are overweight. It's not genetic. It's because they had terrible habits and they gave you the terrible habits. And you know what? You can break those habits. You can be your first in your family to get fit, to lose the weight. If they're overweight, you don't have to be that way. You can show them what's possible. In fact, I've seen, the 30, 40-year-old with everyone in their family be obese and they change course and then all the obese members of their family give them a hard time. Like, how dare you try to be different than us? How dare you reject our yummy
Who
food
do you
and
think
whatever?
you
But
are?
then all of a sudden, the aunt, the uncle, the sibling says, okay, well, how did you do that? Maybe I'd like to do that too. So you can serve as proof in your family that being fit, that being of ideal weight is possible. And then they start to go towards you. And then if you're a parent, man, you better do everything and anything you can to change the next generation because if you give them your bad habits, you are killing them. And nothing is worse than outliving your children. So if you are a parent right now and you have been screwing it up in the nutrition category and you've not been encouraging exercise and your kids are unfit and out of shape and overweight, this is time for you to learn better. Of course, I can provide the education, but you go to your family and you say, hey, listen, when you know better, you do better. I feel guilty. I haven't been serving this family in the best way with our nutrition, with our exercise habits. So I'm not going to cold turkey anything, but we as a family are going to start moving towards a culture of fitness. We are going to learn how to play pickleball, or we are going to start dancing or walking the dog. And I'm going to start trading French fries for baked potatoes. We're going to have our potatoes. We're just going to have them in a more healthy way. And so, little by little, you can change yourself. You can change the older generation and you can change the next. But yeah, overweight families are a result of culture, not DNA.
I love how you said that, the genetic part, because so many people say that. I was born this way, it was part of my
No.
family and all that. I'm like, sometimes you can't talk to people, but you just have to show them.
Yeah. Yeah. Our x-rays, if let's say 1,000 years from now, some next generation picks up all our bones, they're not going to know who was obese and who was real small. They're just going to see bones. And so you're no different. We're all kind of the same with our bones. It's what you put on them and how you burden them. And golly, so I have a podcast, The Fitness Show. And so besides full length episodes, I do these things called pokes. And pokes are just 5, 6 minutes where I'm just listen, start your day this way. And I get in your head and I give you some guidance and hopefully that makes you do better. So this was one of my recent pokes is lug it and lose it. So however much weight you want to lose, let's say you want to lose 40 pounds, you go pick up 40 pounds. You grab two 20-pound dumbbells or you put a sandbag in your backpack. And I want you to walk around and do stuff while carrying that amount of weight. So if you want to lose 40, pick up 40 pounds. I want you to walk upstairs, walk downstairs, go sit down, go stand up, go grocery shop, go do as much as you can with those weights in hand. And then eventually, I want you to put it down. When you let go of that weight, you are going to realize how much easier life is without carrying that weight around. I mean, maybe you want to lose 100 pounds and you can't lift the 100 pounds or you'll get hurt. Well, exactly. That amount of weight is damaging. Sure, you'll get hurt if you pick up 100 pounds. Sure, you're going to get hurt by being 100 pounds overweight. It's horrific on the discs between your spine, on your knees, on your joints. So, yeah, that's a great plan just as a visual, an experiential way to understand how your excess weight is affecting you with every single move you take. Lug it or lose it.
Oh, I love that insight you shared. I've been actually using those weighted vests
Yeah.
and they actually work really well. And it showed me how much weight I have on me. And I was like, whoa. And it actually burns more too as I'm using it. I was like, wow. When you take it off, you're like, Whoa. Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah, those weighted vests are great, and that's another great tool if somebody wants to do the lug it and lose it test. What I recommend, do not run in a weighted vest because that just
Yeah.
compresses the disc in your spine, but you can walk as long as you stay low or no impact, weighted vests are good.
Yeah, I think I'm up to like 30 pounds right now, and I think I'm good right there. Anything more, my
Awesome.
shoulders feel a little weird. Yeah. I know. I see everyone around town wearing those. I'm like, I gotta try that out. It's a really good game changer. People are like, what's wrong with this guy? He looks weird. I'm like, I may look weird, but I feel great.
Yeah, yeah, and people have to be willing to look weird sometimes in order to get
Yeah.
better.
Right?
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
so true. I love that insight. Well, Fitz, I want to thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your insights with us. This has been amazing. I hope our audience really learned something from this and to go pick up your book too. If they also want to reach out to you, where can they find you and your book as well?
Of course. So, my home base for everything is fitzness.com. That's FITZ as in zebra, NESS.com. Free videos are there, free recipes, free articles. There's all sorts of free. My books are on sale there. That's You Supercharged. And if people purchase the books on my website, I sign all of them. I include some really fun gifts with their purchase. I have some great holiday specials right now, and I send them out with love. Also, the books are also going to be widely on sale at Amazon and bookstores, etc. And then I'm at Fitzness on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. And what I'm hoping, Justin, is that if folks follow me, I promise quality content in return. But really, what I much prefer is to have friends instead of followers. So, folks, if you're listening and you go to Instagram and you follow, please say hi. I heard you on Justin's podcast, and I'd love to connect.
People are actually reaching out on social media and talking like real human beings.
Real human
What?
beings all the time.
I'm gonna test this. I'll see if you reply. Okay. Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming on here. It's been a real pleasure. I do have one last question for you. And that is, what does it mean to you to be a human being?
Be a human, man. It's just, I mean, for me, it's just doing my best and making the best of every day. And what a great gift to be a human. I mean, golly, I'd love to be a dog too. They're pretty cute, but to be the most evolved species, I think it's a big responsibility that we should respect that evolution and live every day to the fullest. So, yeah, hooray for being human.
Hell yeah. I love that answer. It reminds me of what you just said, takes me back to the movie Wally. Remember that movie? It's a little
Yeah.
sad. Everyone's in their chairs and getting everything fed to them. Yeah, because like a little reality check there.
Those are good for us. It's good when somebody, shakes us and says, "Wake up, bozo. Life is short. Life is sweet," right?
Right? We need that every once in a while. We get too caught up in life sometimes.
I agree.
Pilot.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, Fitz, thank you so much for coming on here. It has been a pleasure having you. Would love to have you back sometime.
I'd love that, Justin. Thank you and happy holidays.